going on, Melanin Warriorz? And it's so great to be back, man. I'm doing something a little different right now, man. Since I've retired, by the way, my official name, I know y'all know me as KC Fowler on here, but my official name is Staff Sergeant Retired Kevin Fowler, man. And I'm giving y'all some opinions of mine, pros and cons about the Army, man. Whether you're thinking about joining or you're a parent that's curious, you might want to check this out. So let's get it.
Stand for something, you gon' fall for anything. Melanin Warriorz. Let's go.
M-E-L-A-N-I-N
Warriors.
M-E-L-A-N-I-N
Warriors.
M-E-L-A-N-I-N
Warriors. Melanin Warriorz.
Melanin Warriors. I shade all my kings and queens. Melanin Warriors. Either you stand for something or fall for anything.
All right, man. So like I said, I'm a retired staff sergeant from the U.S. Army. You know what I'm saying? I did about 15 years or so in the Army. And, you know, I got a little bit of experience. So I felt like I should share some of my experiences with you guys in the Melanin Warriorz Podcast world, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're watching that, man. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So my first pro is obviously the camaraderie, man. When I tell y'all, I met some of the best friends of my life in the military, man, from AIT, which is our training, you know what I'm saying, advanced individual training for guys who don't understand the acronym, to my first duty station at Fort Lewis, or JBLM, what they call it now, Fort Gordon, Atlanta, Mississippi. I met some really, really good people, man. So, you know what I'm saying? When I first started out, I was kind of a little hesitant about, you know, talking to these folks. I'm like, man, I don't know these people. I'm just here to get this money. And eventually, you know, we developed into real good friends. Basic training, I had some real good guys with me, man. It was real fun. You know, those comrades, they will, you know, get you through them hard times because y'all dealing with the suck together, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are in the trenches together. So y'all fight together, y'all laugh together, cry together, all that good stuff, man. Y'all become a family. I know, for example, when I moved to Washington, which is Washington State, by the way, I didn't even know what the hell Washington State was when they told me that's what my orders were sending me. But when I went there, you know, there was a couple of guys that was in the maintenance with me, you know what I'm saying, the motor pool, things like that with me. And, you know, for the longest, I was so hesitant to hang with these guys. I'm like, man, I ain't dealing with these folks. I don't know these people. I ain't hanging with these guys. Mind you, at this time, I was from Augusta, where in Augusta at that time where I was from, the black people kind of stuck with black people. White people, for the most part, stuck with the white people. And all the people that was trying to get me hang out was the white people. So, you know, one Friday we got off, I was tired. I was like, fuck it, we're going to go ahead and have a good time. Excuse my French. We're going to go out here and have a good time. So I went. I learned how to play beer pong. We were drinking, you know what I'm saying? We had a lot of good laughs, man. And then those same people that I met that worked in the same area as me, we ended up deploying together, man, and became real, real close. And the people that are still amongst the living with us now, you know what I'm saying? I still talk to them every once in a while, but, you know, that's the Army life. And then when I got to Fort Gordon, it was the same thing, man. I met a couple of real solid guys, man. Shout out to my boy Bradshaw, R.P. Johnson, man. But, you know, those was my guys, man. Then I went to Atlanta. Of course, man, when I went to Atlanta, there was so much going on. Atlanta was hustling, bustling, moving. But eventually I was able to link up with some real, real dope people, man. Shout out to Warrant Officer Ori and or Mr. Ori and my boy Staff Sergeant Robinson, who's also about to retire. Shout out to you, bro. So, you know, I met a lot of good people in the way, man. So I definitely would say one positive thing about the Army guys is the camaraderie of it. And while I'm talking about camaraderie, I just like to give a RIP to my brothers who are no longer here, man. RIP my boy Grizzly Gray, RIP Quicksaw, RIP Spivey, RIP Abraham, RIP Franklin, RIP Johnson. And if there's anybody else I have not been in contact with, or y'all haven't been in contact with, who has transitioned on from this world to a better one, y'all go ahead and put something in the comments, man. Put their names out there, man. Shout out your fallen soldier, your fallen warrior. Another pro about joining the Army is obviously the travel, man. Like I'm from Augusta, so I've been in Augusta my whole life. Augusta, Georgia, guys who ain't no 706 stand up. But I've been in Augusta my whole life. Like I never traveled hardly anywhere. So when I went to basic training in South Carolina, Fort Jackson, and then from there I went to Maryland. Never been to Maryland in my life. Never seen so much snow. Never know it even got that damn cold. I'm telling y'all, man, it was freezing in Maryland. I was doing AIT during the winter in Maryland, but it was cool. You know what I'm saying? That's where I also met my wife at. Speaking of camaraderie, because that's my number one battle buddy right there, man. Shout out to my wife who was also in, man. And then from there, they told me, like I mentioned earlier in the first pro, that they sent me to Washington State. I had no idea. When they said Washington, I said Washington D.C. And they said no, Washington State. And I said, what the hell is in Washington? So I didn't know until I got there. I will say Washington, it rains a lot, but if you're an outdoorsy person, man, it's a real beautiful place to be. Shout out to all my people who settled in Washington, who's still in Washington, from Seattle to Tacoma to Lakewood to even Tilica, man. If anybody been out Tilica, man, that's my first place in the hood, man. It was good times, man. All right, so that's all the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and get into some of the cons. I know you guys are really curious on what my cons probably are. The first one I'm gonna say, you get up early for no reason half the time. I mean, a lot of times they say formation is at 6, but you gotta be up at 3 so you can be there at 4 so they can do accountability at 5:30. I mean, it kind of got a little redundant, a little ridiculous at how much we was up. The worst ones was range day. I remember a particular range day. We had to be at the unit at 4:30 in the morning, guys. I stayed about 10, 15 minutes away. So that put me in, like, to get myself together, smoke a cigarette, whatever I need to do before I get there. I wake up about 3:30, get there on time. And, we in there. It takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours to actually get your weapon. So that puts us at what? I don't know, about 6:30, 7 o'clock. So from 6:30 to 7 o'clock, we're sitting for like an hour, just sitting there, chilling, waiting to go. So then we finally get to the range. We go to the range. The range was supposed to go hot. For y'all that don't know what range going hot means out there in the civilian world, basically the range is good to go. We can start firing and all that other good stuff. So the range is supposed to go hot at 9. We're sitting there in the middle of the summer, hot. Can't wait to shoot. So finally about 10:30, the range finally goes hot. Mind you, formation was at like 4:30. We sat around until damn near 10 o'clock waiting to fire. And then you finally fire. If you don't qualify, you out there all day. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. I ain't shot in a minute. My first time going to the range when I got my first unit. Shout out to the 194 High March 125th FSC, by the way. But 17 Fires Brigade. Shout out to y'all. But when I got there, I had the most trouble shooting in the world. Man, it took me like 10 times to qualify. I'm not even go flex. It took my 10 times. But after that, man, I was a straight sharpshooter. Even got all the way up to shooting expert every time I went to the range. For all y'all trollers that's gonna be in these comments talking about, oh, he can't shoot. But the moral of the story, that's one was you're up early a lot of times for no reason. I mean, PT, I got it. You know what I'm saying? You do your PT on time. That normally happens. But you have all these other events. Change of commands was the worst for getting up early in the morning. You get up early and you're standing there at the position of attention, which means your arms is at your side. You're standing straight and your feet are pointed at 45 degrees. And you're just standing there and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting. One of the phrases of the military is hurry up and wait, because guess what? You're going to rush to get to where you're going, but ultimately, you're going to have to hurry up and wait. All right, the last one, and this one really is like, that's why I wanted to do this as far as the negative of the military, the Army specifically first, was, you're going to miss out on stuff. For me, when I first joined, I had 3 kids. My youngest at that time, she was 2. And, I missed out on birthdays and a few Christmases and everything like that. Had another son. And then, like, shortly after he was born, I deployed for a year, so I missed his first steps. I was lucky to see him crawl when I went to R&R and things like that. But you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out on birthdays, some funerals, because they don't allow you to go to everybody's funeral in your family. If you is super close with your second auntie on your daddy's side, the Army's not going to care because they're not legitimate. They're not like immediate family, so they're not ultimately going to grant you that leave. I mean, if you have it, you can take it and hopefully it gets to the S1 and hopefully it gets approved. That's a con for another day as far as S1 and paperwork and stuff like that goes, man. But when I was deployed, I had to watch a lot of this stuff. My family at Christmas, you watching a lot of stuff through a screen. Luckily, we're in the time and the age where you can actually see people via Skype and Zoom and things like that. Because, the soldiers that came before me, shout out to y'all also, by the way, they had to deal, with letters and pictures and hoping they could see them. And that's how it started for me at basic, man. We had one little shitty payphone and it barely worked. You had a phone card to use. And when that phone card went out, that was it. There wasn't no cell phones. There was no Skype. We wrote letters and things like that still. But you are going to miss out on a lot of your family moments, man. And I just want to give a shout out to my own family. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my daughter, Tangi. Shout out to my son, Kevandre, my daughter, Shania, my sons, Kevion and Keontae. Shout out to y'all, man, because I know this journey of mine with this Army wasn't easy, but you guys made it as easy as possible, man. I love y'all. Y'all are constant support for me and everything like that, man. So, the last thing I got, guys, before I go ahead and end this one on, my pros and cons of joining the Army. So my tip for you guys, as I end this episode, man, is find you that solid group of people. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be isolated. All of y'all are dealing with the BS together. So y'all go ahead and you find your little group. If you're going to join, man, a real solid group is going to elevate you, not get you in trouble, because you can get in a lot of trouble in the military, which I'll talk about on another day, man. So y'all go ahead and hit subscribe, hit like, hit share. If you're from in the Army, Navy, I don't care what military branch you are, drop something in the comments. Let me know when you serve. If you got any stories you want to share, put some in the comments, man. I might have you on to come share some stories, man. So peace and blessings, my people. Ashe.
Don't stand for something, you gon' fall for anything. Melanin Warriors. Let's go.
MELANIN
Warriors.